Hi guys, I am your host Khamul, and I would like to welcome you in how to play Easterlings in Middle Earth Strategy Battle Game series. In this series, I would like to share thoughts and ideas about how to use Easterling forces in game. We are going to start this series by looking into every single profile available to this army, and the very first one will be Khamul himself. First thing you will see when looking at this Nazgul profile, aside from his point cost, is all his various keywords. So, Khamul is Spirit, Ringwraith, Easterling, Mordor, Infantry, Hero with Heroic tier, Hero of Valor. Thanks to Easterling keyword, Khamul will benefit from Easterling keyword related buffs even when he is leading a warband from Mordor. This is quite important thing when you want to bring some allies such as Morannon Orcs, Morgul Knights, Trolls, etc. Other important thing here is Heroic tier Hero of Valor. This tier means that most of the time Khamul will be leader of your force, because you have to choose model with highest heroic tier and only Amdur can match Khamul heroic tier in this army. Also, Hero of Valor will allow him to lead 15 models in his warband, which can help you in list building by giving you slightly more space for warriors. This heroic tier also affects some of the Khamul abilities. Khamul's statline is in line with many other Nazgul in a game. He has move value of 6, fight 5, strength 4, defense 8, attack and wounds 1 each, courage 6, might 2, will 12, faith 2, and he sports a heavy armor and sword. With this statline you will need to use Khamul wisely. Remember, he has only 1 wound and 2 points of faith, so he is not as tanky as you would like him to be despite awesome defense value of 8. Also, 2 points of might mean that Khamul has to spend those points in the right way. You can't afford to burn them in a foolish way. Khamul has access to all basic heroic actions: heroic move, shoot and combat. Out of those you would probably never use heroic shoot. Heroic move and combat are on the other hand pretty important actions. Heroic move allowing you to take the initiative, cast spells and declare charges even if you lost priority roll can change the outcome of battle. Heroic combat is great when you need to make surprise assaults on enemy support characters or when you want to be sure Khamul fights first. This is thanks to that this action can allow you to move and fight once again in the same fight phase, which can be very good move when done properly. Khamul also has 3 more specialized heroic actions. Heroic channeling is used to cast channeled spells. While channeled spells can be pretty potent, you will most likely cast regular versions. This is because Khamul is not as great sorcerer as you would like him to be. Heroic Strike is neat action, which allows you to fight with the most skilled combatants in game as equals or even outmatch them. This is because when you use this action you roll a d6 at the start of the fight phase and add the score to your fight value for the remainder of the phase. Heroic Challenge has great potential. This action allows you to challenge a worthy enemy to a duel. Because Khamul has Heroic tier Hero of Valor, he can challenge other Heroes of Valor and Heroes of Legend. This is important because good forces have much more Heroes of Legend than forces of evil. Once challenge is declared, enemy hero can accept or decline it. If he accepts your challenge, there will be a fight with no spear or pike support. No other model can participate in it, and Once challenge is declared, enemy hero can accept or decline it. If he accepts your challenge, there will be a fight with no spear or pike support. No other models can participate in it, but the reward for killing the enemy hero will be d3 points of might. This can take Khamul above his starting level. But what happens when enemy declines Well, other models in his army will no longer benefit from his heroic actions or standfast. Either way, When it comes to option department, there are really 2 options, each in 2 flavors. Those options are mounts. You can take a horse or armored horse to make Khamul a cavalry model, or spend more points to make him a monstrous cavalry thanks to his fell beast, or armored fell beast. When it comes to horses, I recommend armored one. With Felbeast, I really think regular Felbeast is good enough, and spending extra 20 points for a single point of defense is not really worth it. Mounts drastically change the way Khamul plays, and I will just say you will always want this Nazgul to be mounted. Benefits of having a mount are just too big to skip them. Also, when it comes to Felbeast, this is your only native option to include monster in your list. Felbeast will grant Khamul with increased strength, attacks, fly, movement, and also grant him access to brutal power attacks. There are 3 brutal power attacks: Rend, Hurl, and Barge. Rend will allow you to easier kill powerful enemy heroes, while Hurl can disrupt enemy formations. Barge is really more of an option, and because you are restricted to use only 1 BPA per turn, I think you will most likely use Rend or Hurl. Khamul has some great special rules that will help you dominate the battlefield. First of all, he is Harbinger of Evil, which means every enemy model within 12-inch bubble will suffer -1 to their courage. This rule directly affects performance of all courage-related abilities and spells at Khamul's disposal. Terror is simple but really good ability. Every enemy model will have to test their courage before engaging in close combat with Khamul. Coupled with Harbinger of Evil, this ability can make enemy models unable to charge your Nazgul. Will of Evil is a bit different, as this ability doesn't benefit Khamul. It represents the ethereal nature of Ringwraiths. Every time Khamul takes part in close combat, he will lose a single point of will after said fight is over, and if Khamul will ever reach 0, he is treated as slain. When playing Nazgul, you have to remember about this ability and always take it into account. Essence Leech is the ability that makes Khamul Khamul. It is a great tool at your disposal as it has 2 great effects. First, allows you to restore your will points by wounding enemy models. Every time you score a wound, you regain a point of will. You cannot have more than 12, and still Will of Evil applies. But even with that taken into account, the ability to regain will is priceless for Khamul. The way in which Khamul restores will points really encourages this Nazgul to be in close combat, and in close combat, mounts really make a difference. Second effect allows you to spend 1 point of will at the start of fight phase to increase your fight, attacks or strength by 1. Second part is directly affected by your mount. If you have Khamul on horse, you will use this ability more often. Plus 1 point of strength is useful against defense values of 5 and 7. Additional point of fight every time when you face powerful enemy hero, and plus 1 attack when neither additional point of strength or fight will benefit you. If you have a Felbeast, you will only use second part of Essence Leech for that additional point of fight, because you will use strength and attacks of your Felbeast. This is because this ability doesn't allow you to increase characteristics of your mount, only Khamul himself. Last thing in Khamul profile is the array of various magical powers. As you would expect from a Nazgul, they mainly focus on debuffing enemy heroes and causing terror in enemy troops. Most of them have range of 12-inch, with the exception of Instill Fear. Drain Courage allows you to slowly deplete courage of enemy models. Every time you will successfully cast this power, enemy model will lose 1 point of courage. Channeled version will drain D3 points. With 3+ casting value, you can comfortably cast this spell using only 1 dice. Transfix is the most utilitarian power in Khamul arsenal. This power is designed to cripple enemy heroes and monsters alike. It will make model unable to move, use standfast, active abilities, call heroic actions and strike after winning the duel. If you absolutely, positively need to destroy enemy model, you should consider Channeled version. This is probably the only spell you should sometimes consider for heroic channeling. Channeled version has all of the above effects, plus it will halve target fight and attack values. With a casting value of 4+, you should use 2 dice to cast this spell just to be. Khamul is a Transfix plus, as both normal and channeled version of this spell has effects of Transfix or Channeled Transfix respectively. This spell also allows you to move affected model up to half of their movement value. Khamul is harder to cast because of 5+ casting value. You should use this spell if you need to position your target, otherwise just use Transfix. Instill Fear is pretty fun spell. It is different from other spells on this list because it affects a group of models instead of just one. When successfully cast, it will create a 3-inch bubble around Khamul base. Just imagine him screaming like in the movies. Every enemy model within this bubble will have to test their courage, and you decide the order in which those tests will be made. This power is best used against humans, orcs, goblins, trolls, and other low courage models, with some decent effects on dwarves too. It also benefits greatly from Harbinger of Evil. Every time enemy model fails courage test, you will have the ability to move it directly away from Khamul up to their full movement value. Channeled version will force enemy models to test on 3 dice and discard their best score. This power can obliterate enemy line by making enemy models flee in terror. Instill Fear has a casting value of 5+, so you should use 2 or more likely 3 dice to cast it. Sub Will drains enemy model will points. Normal version will drain T3, while Channeled will drain T6 points. But honestly, unless you face wizards or other Nazgul, Drain Courage is better choice for reducing enemy will stores. Also, keep in mind that Sub Will has casting value of 5+. Last spell in Khamul arsenal is Black Dart. Black Dart inflicts an auto hit with strength 9 on your target, with channeled version dealing D3 wounds. But honestly, with 6+ casting value and the fact that Khamul wants to inflict wounds on enemy models in close combat, you will probably never use this spell. With all that said, let's look at Khamul's biggest pros and cons. When it comes to pros, Khamul is Hero of Valor. He has a wide array of magical powers, the ability to ride atop a Fell Beast, Essence Leech, Heroic Strike and Challenge actions. When it comes to cons, however, Khamul has average fight value for a hero, he is pretty fragile despite defense 8, he has only 2 points of might, and compared to normal Nazgul, all of his casting values are increased by 1. Overall, I think Khamul is pretty great model to include in your army. He will give you many tricks and abilities to use. Just remember, he is not a frontline brawler. Keep him safe and used properly, and he will cause havoc in enemy lines. Well, that's all for today. I think I will make a separate video on how to use Khamul on Fell Beast at some point, and I hope to see you in my next video, in which we will look at Amdur, the Lord of Blades.